Okay, can you guys hear me okay? All right. I was not nervous at all until I saw that. Okay. Thank you so much for that introduction, and I will just jump right in. The literal translation of Vayikra is, "and he called." God calls to Moses and tells him the laws of the korbanot, the animal and meal offerings brought to the sanctuary. But I'm here tonight to talk about Sharsheret and the Jewish breast and ovarian cancer community. So what could veins of fat or a female goat without blemish possibly have to do with our work at Sharsheret, supporting women and families in the Jewish community who are impacted by breast and ovarian cancer? While the ritual of sacrifice is no longer practiced today, many of the themes laid out in Vayikra directly connect to Sharsheret. I'll explain all of that, but first, by a show of hands, who knows what the word Sharsheret means in Hebrew? Okay, it means chain, the Hebrew word for chain. It represents the notion that we are all links in the chain. In a chain, individual links can't do very much. They can't wrap around anything, and they can't hold or support anything. But when we come together and link together, we create a chain to support those in our community who are impacted by breast and ovarian cancer, or those who are at increased risk for these and other cancers due to genetic mutations or a strong family history. In Vayikra, many of the offerings, like peace offerings, were shared among the community. This highlights the importance of unity and shared responsibility. In our own lives, we are reminded that spiritual growth and fulfillment are not just individual pursuits, but also require the support and connection of the community. This is one of the main tenets of our work at Sharsheret. Support and connection are the foundation upon which we build all that we do. From our vast peer support network of women who have been impacted by breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or genetic mutations, to our one-on-one psychosocial support, where every single caller is connected to a mental health clinician, we ensure that no one feels alone during what may very well be one of the scariest times of their lives. On the theme of shared responsibility, we all share the responsibility as a community to live out the Jewish value of pikuach nefesh, saving a life. If we are in the position to save a life, we must do it. We are commanded to do so. At Sharsheret, we save lives with our genetics education. With our nationwide, and now in Israel, community education initiatives, we spread awareness about BRCA or BRCA and other genetic mutations that can greatly increase one's risk for cancer. And right now, after tonight, every single one of us in this room has the ability to save a life. So let's talk about BRCA now. Show of hands, who's heard of the BRCA mutation? Okay, so this is a genetic mutation that is found in roughly 1 in 400 individuals in the general population. So if you're downtown Kansas City and the general population is walking around, that's 1 in 400 people will carry this mutation. But in the Jewish community, that number is 1 in 40. So people with Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry are 10 times more likely to carry this mutation, putting them at a much higher risk for certain cancers, including breast cancer, ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, melanoma, male breast cancer, and others. And many people assume this is a women's issue. Who here thinks BRCA is more of a women's thing? Okay, it's okay, you can raise your hand. But now let me tell you why it is very much a men's issue as well. Let me give you a little recap of high school biology class. So who remembers what a Punnett square is? That little chart with recessive genes, dominant genes, and it shows how it all works. Well, with recessive genetic mutations like Tay-Sachs or cystic fibrosis, and some of the other ones that are kind of more common in the Ashkenazi Jewish community, both parents need to be carriers in order for the child to inherit that mutation. But with the genetic mutations related to cancer, like BRCA, these are dominant mutations. Only one parent needs the mutation for a child to inherit it and for it to impact the child's body. So if a child is genetically made from one man and one woman, that mutation can come from either parent. There's a 50% chance that a child will get one of these mutations, both males and females. So BRCA in some families can be very easy to spot. A mother, her sister, her mother, her female cousins, all have breast cancer. That may be a more obvious scenario that raises some red flags and might lead someone to have genetic testing. However, it can play out differently in other families. It can be a father who has melanoma, whose sister had ovarian cancer, whose cousin had breast cancer. Or it can be like it was in my family, with 2 great aunts who passed away of a vague stomach cancer in their 40s when it really was ovarian cancer, and it was BRCA related. It might not be so obvious, and this is where genetic counselors come into play. They will look at the whole family, the entire history, and do confidential phone consultations at Sharsheret. So if anyone in this room has any questions, or if you have loved ones with any questions, please call us. That's why we're here. So back to the Parsha. In Vayikra, the peace offerings and the other sacrifices were a way of giving thanks. They were a reminder to always be grateful and to acknowledge God's role in our lives. Gratitude and giving thanks are themes that we encounter daily in our work. Every single day, we are awestruck to see the strength and resilience in the community we serve. Amidst the fear and the worry, there's always a glimmer of gratitude. Whether it's for the mammogram that caught the cancer early, for a gift they received in the mail from Sharsheret, for the kindness and support of their medical professionals, or for the meal trains set up by their community. Gratitude and appreciation are ever present. Just like in Vayikra, it serves as a reminder that every day is a gift. At Sharsheret and in the Parsha, we are reminded to practice gratitude, recognize the blessings we have, and offer thanks. Though we no longer offer thanks through sacrifice, we give thanks by paying it forward and supporting those around us who are in need. So back to the chain of Sharsheret. Whether you like it or not, you are all now part of our chain. You are links. Once you learn about us and the work that we do, you become an advocate. Your role now is to connect women and families who might benefit from our support. Your role is to tell people about Jewish genetics, and if they have a family history of cancer, they need to make sure they tell their doctors and meet with a genetic counselor if necessary. If that feels daunting to them, direct them to us. We have social workers, genetic counselors. Everything we do is 100% confidential and 100% free, and we're here for everyone, everywhere. Rabbi Tanhum ben Hanilai said, "Normally, a burden which is heavy for one is light for two, or one heavy for two is light for four. As a Jewish people and at Sharsheret, we are called to lighten the burden of others and be links in the chain to lift up and support those women and families in our community who need it most." Thank you so much for having me, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach, do you have time for a couple of questions? Can we kind of offer questions to the congregation?
I can take questions if anybody
Does anyone have a question?
I'm also available after if someone privately wants to ask any questions.
Yeah, Becky will be out in the Ulam with all of our tasty treats and answers to your questions.
How
as
does
well,
one
if you don't
access
have one.
genetic testing?
Oh, how do you access genetic testing? So this is a great question for our genetic counselor. I can answer too, but there's several different ways to go about it. If it's indicated based on your family history that you should be tested, then insurance should and will cover it. If not, there are medical grade tests that you can pay for out of pocket through places like JScreen, where you can get a voucher and pay as little as $200. You can come on Sunday to the genetics panel event and learn more about JScreen. I just also want to tell you that the 23andMe, Ancestry.com, all of those tests are really fun, but they're not medical grade. So if you receive a clean bill of health as it relates to cancer genetics on those reports, they're not 100% accurate. So that's just a disclaimer. But there's other things about genetic testing that you wouldn't necessarily know, which I was lucky to find out about before I got tested, is if you test positive for one of the hereditary cancer mutations, you can be denied life insurance. So there's laws in place so that you're not denied health insurance, but life insurance, they can deny you. So these are the types of tips and things that our genetic counselor will let people know, that you should get your life insurance in place before you get tested, which is exactly what I did. So.
Thank you.
You're on the panel Sunday, correct?
Yes.
So JScreen we're going to have a slide that will give you some of the details. But Sunday is the thing we've been talking about, the genetic screening event. Becky will be there on the panel. Thank you so much for speaking with us in person tonight. And Jay's screen that she mentioned will also be there.
Yasha Koach, thank you.